And he basically said to her, "If you don't give me what I want, I will kill you." And she refused to give in to his demands, despite being the age of 12. And he proceeded to stab her a total of 14 times and then left. And when her family returned to the home and found her, they immediately rushed her to the hospital. But after agonizing hours, they weren't able to save her. But one of her final words was, "I forgive him." Today's sanity saver for you is forgiveness. And I cannot think of a better story to tell you in order to convey the power of forgiveness than the story of Saint Maria Goretti. She was a very young girl who, at the age of 12, was attacked by a um, neighborhood farmer, really, who had interest in her and wanted to take advantage of her. And he basically said to her, "If you don't give me what I want, I will kill you." And she refused to give in to his demands, despite being the age of 12. And he proceeded to stab her a total of 14 times and then left. And when her family returned to the home and found her, they immediately rushed her to the hospital. But after agonizing hours, they weren't able to save her. But one of her final words was, "I forgive him." And the the man who assaulted her, Alessandro, was caught and put in prison. And during his time in prison, he had a dream or a vision where Saint Maria Goretti appeared to him and offered him 14 white lilies, which is the amount of times that he stabbed her. And that dream basically changed him as a person. He completely uh, reevaluated his life. And when he got out of prison, he went to St. Maria Goretti's mother and begged her forgiveness, which St. Maria Goretti's mother granted to him, if you can imagine. And both Alessandro and St. Maria Goretti's mother were present when Pope Pius the 12th canonized St. Maria Goretti. They were there to witness it. And Alessandro did completely turn his life around. He was a faithful Catholic for the rest of his life. So the power of forgiveness, you can turn a murderer into a faith-filled person who not only no longer causes harm, but causes good and is present at the canonization of the saint that he murdered. So she was, at the age of 12, until recently, she was one of the youngest people ever to be canonized as a saint. So in that vision to Alessandro, white lilies symbolize um, mercy, forgiveness, purity. So for her to give him 14 of those was a huge symbol of her forgiveness of him. And she also said those very words on her deathbed, was that "I forgive him." And I think the only way we are able to have that sort of strength to forgive, especially when it is a very grievous sin that has been committed against us, or maybe even a grievous sin that we've committed ourselves, I think the only way that we have the power to forgive in that instance is when the grace of God comes into us and we allow it to do good work within our souls, because human beings in and of themselves are not capable of that type of forgiveness. We just aren't. We're too flawed. We're too fickle. Um, but God can do that. He can take our brokenness. He can take our anger, our, whatever grudge we're holding on to, and he can transform it and make it good, make it pure, make it clean, and guide us towards forgiveness. I really do believe that because Saint Maria Goretti was so young, she was able to forgive so naturally and fluidly because children have more purity than we do. They have more, they're overflowing with God's love. They haven't been as tainted as we have and as kind of numbed as we have by life experience. They're still fresh and new in the way that they look at the world. So I do think that Saint Goretti's ability to forgive her own murderer was possible not only because of God's grace, but also because of her youth. So, how do we apply that to our life as adults, as teens, um, as elderly? It's never too late to apply this concept to our lives. So, I think part of forgiveness is to remember our youthfulness, to remember our childlike innocence, and to really hold on to that, and to remember that we are to turn to God as children, to just go to Him and let Him heal us, let Him hold us and embrace us, and whatever hurt and pain we're holding on to that we can't forgive, hand that over to Him as a child would and really let Him just wash it away, make it clean. And for a lot of us, that forgiveness needs to be what we forgive in ourselves, the mistakes that we've made ourselves, the way that we've hurt our family, our friends, God, the things that we've done that we're not proud of. We need to hand that over to God in the same way that Maria Goretti handed over any anger towards her attacker. It was wiped clean, even in the midst of her pain. So we can do this. This is possible because of God. We are not capable of forgiveness on our own. With God, though, we can forgive anything because He has that capability. He can wipe it clean. Now, we're always going to suffer from the stain of sin on earth. So it doesn't mean we're not forgiven, but we're going to have consequences for what we do. Just like if you put your hand on a hot stove, you're going to get burned and you're going to have a scar and it's going to hurt for a little while. That's sort of what sin does in a way. And um, it might hurt still. You might still feel the earthly pains of it, but that will be far less if you're able to let go of the spiritual pain of it and truly hand that over to God in forgiveness. And obviously, this applies to when other people hurt us as well. The ability to forgive them takes weight off of us. And also, in just like in the case of St. Maria Goretti, it opens a door for those people to learn by your example and to live better and hopefully not hurt more people in the future. Just like Alessandro in prison receiving this dream of forgiveness from St. Maria Goretti, he could have exited the prison and continued living this life of sin and caused more pain and caused more destruction. But instead he took that forgiveness, accepted it, and then went to ask for more from St. Maria Goretti's mother, went to look for more forgiveness with the intent of accepting it and then reforming his life. So that's my sanity saver for you today is forgiveness, because honestly, holding on to hurt and pain only hurts you. It doesn't hurt the person that inflicted it upon you in the first place. And none of us need any extra weight. I know that we all are carrying our fair share of trials and burdens. And St. John Paul II is also a phenomenal example of forgiveness. There was a man who attempted to assassinate St. John Paul II, Pope John Paul II. And after being shot, JP2 was brought to the hospital and he survived and was healed. But then JP2 went and visited the man in prison who attempted to shoot him. And that man was also converted and changed his life because of JP2's example of forgiveness. He attended JP2's funeral and was there, moved and um, supporting his message. So again, even when it's a life and death situation, like it was for St. Maria Goretti and JP2. He didn't end up dying, but certainly that was the man's intent who shot him. Um, there's no way that a human being on their own could forgive that. However, God being allowed to come in and transform that heart, that's when it's possible. And we all can do that with the even smaller things that are going on in our lives, the little hurts that we're holding on to. I think in marriage in particular, obviously you're going to hurt one another in the little ways, sometimes in the big ways. Marriage is a tough road to go down because it's two flawed people. And I think that's where forgiveness really has to come into play. And we have to allow God to make us able to do that. Because on our own, it's going to be flawed. It's going to be messy. It's going to be chaotic. And it's not going to be as clean and as pure and as quick, if that makes sense. We hold on to things for so long. We don't need to. God is capable of taking it and making it something new. That's one of the more beautiful aspects of going to confession is that when you come out, God has taken everything and washed it clean. Another story, St. Margaret Mary Alakai, she was the one who Jesus gave the vision of the Sacred Heart to. And no one would believe her. No one would believe that she had had this vision. She was a very young nun. She didn't have a lot of credibility. And she was speaking with a priest who was supposed to sort of come in and set her straight. And he said, well, if this has really happened, the next time you see Jesus, you ask him, what's the last thing I said in confession? And so she went. And when Jesus appeared, she asked him, she said, well, he wants to know this. Can you tell me what was the last thing he said in confession? And Jesus said, I don't remember. And it's true. He doesn't keep account of our wrongs. He doesn't keep them locked away to hoard over us later. We say them. He accepts them into his heart, into his sacred heart that is just full of love for us. And then they're wiped clean and he doesn't hold on to them anymore. So why should we? Let go of it. You're hurt that has been inflicted upon you. You don't have to let go of it by yourself. Bring it to God. Give it to him. He'll take care of it.